This is a clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center on this Tuesday, tracking some more severe weather potential right now. I know we had some warnings over the last little bit. I didn't go on for those because of the population density we were dealing with, but now the Weather Service in the last 5 minutes issuing a severe thunderstorm warning there that has a considerable tag on it for parts of Atkinson, Coffee, and Ware, so a little more substantial damage possible because of some bigger hail that could be coming out of the storm up in that general vicinity. So we wanted to come on because those warnings don't get issued as often around here when you have the polygon there on this mode of the radar in that orange shade. So instead of just a simple standard severe thunderstorm warning, one that's a little more significant with this pop-up activity. So want to make sure that we kind of understand the potential here as we're looking toward Coffee County. I know we were getting some hail reports there in around Douglas over the last little bit, and we're seeing some of this right now. Granted, it'll kind of wane and then it'll kind of pick back up again here as we're watching the algorithms right now. It seems like it's waning once again. It's really, that's why we generally don't like to break in for these, but when we have that considerable tag, we need to come on the air to let you guys know what's going on here. As we are at 6:35, tracking a severe thunderstorm located near Pearson, moving northeast at 10 miles an hour. So Douglas, Pearson, Willacoochee, Millwood, Bickley, and Axon here under this severe thunderstorm warning. Now, of course, we track these the best we can. It gets really tricky this time of year. We're about to get a new warning, by the way, so let's go ahead and move this over. This is going to be the storm here to the east. A new warning coming here for Pierce, Wayne, and Brantley. It's going to be for hail and wind. So giving you that heads up here at least on that. And we have another warning for another couple minutes for parts of Madison, Lowndes, and Brooks here, but it looks like they're going to go with a significant weather advisory. That's going to be replacing that down toward the south. And there's also some weak rotation now just north of Horton, so they're going to have to watch for a quick spin up tornado now, they're saying. So might have a tornado possible tag on this here as we kind of zoom on out a little bit. The thing's escalating a little bit more here, but when we're not on the air and we get these warnings now, we'll post them here pretty quick on Facebook at Casey Cloud WX and Cloud Weather, and then on Twitter at Cloud Casey. But the auto alerts at Cloud_WX on Twitter, that's where you get the alerts coming out immediately there. As soon as they come on out, that'll come on there on that Twitter account, so you know exactly what's going on. And if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, just make sure you're following along here. These alerts, I don't go in for all these warnings. We cover 62 counties here. We're going for a lot of them this time of year, though. And right now we have 2, but I have 3, though it may kind of be where that one jumps off here before we have that. We also have to watch the rotation, though, in this storm here. First time the Weather Service has said anything like that here today as we're looking toward Hortense there. So we're going to be watching these areas here carefully. I know we're trying to look to see what's going on. You can see that there. Some of that's just really outside of the coverage area, to be quite honest. But let's go ahead and kind of take a look here to see where this is tracking, because it's going to be coming there, maybe clipping parts of Glenn County over the next little bit. I know the warning's coming for parts of Pierce, Wayne, and Brantley, and Pierce and Brantley are within our covered area. Wayne is just outside of our area. So let's go ahead, get to the Doppler radars here. Then we'll have our full update later on, maybe a little delayed here at this point. So we have to cover to see if there's an accident that kind of just pops up here when it wants to in this type of scenario here with enough surface-based heat values here, higher joules per kilogram values here that we're dealing with on this Tuesday. But as you see, toward parts of Atkinson County, it's starting to pick up again a little bit. But now, in terms of the hail potential on this mode of the Doppler, close to, it looks like Clarence Royals Road here. So we'll watch that in northern Atkinson County. May end up getting some more action toward Douglas. I know information of hail about 0.88 inches in diameter a little while ago there toward Douglas. But now that new warning coming, this is going to be the Moody radar view. You can see some rotation on that here. Now the rotation's more to the north here of our coverage area, just barely right now, but we have to watch this. Let's go ahead and see if we're on the right radar for this, or if we should switch. It is going to switch us here. It may stay on it, I'm not sure, but we'll find out here in a second as we continue this live coverage here. Now we have a tornado possible tag here in toward this area. Not really expecting tornadic development, but occasionally in May you can get a quick spin up. It would not be anything too strong, I don't think, here. But we have to just be kind of cognizant of what could happen. Let's go ahead, kind of get that latest update here on the view. It actually switches on over to Jacksonville. That is the closer radar site. And it's also showing the rotation here as we kind of see that kidney bean shape here. Again, we're not really expecting tornadoes, but can't completely rule out a quick tornado warning here. It's by the office in Jacksonville or anywhere around when you have storms kind of just wanting to do what they want to do here sometimes. You don't have to have many of the wind shear parameters really in play to get a really quick 1 or 2 minute spin up here. I know it can definitely happen. I know we had have zero spin up in an organized environment in southeast Missouri on Saturday. It didn't even last about a minute on the ground. So you could have something like that real quick, and then maybe it's a set of a covered area. But again, you can see here we're watching around Hortense right now. You see McKinnon, some of those areas outside of the region, but the warning here, we're still tracking it. I know, looks like we just got Ware canceled out of the other warning, but this warning here is for southeastern Pierce, northeastern Brantley, and southern Wayne until 7:15. At 6:44, severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles north of Raybon, or 10 miles east of Patterson, moving east at 10 miles an hour. Nahana, Patterson, Screven there, Offerman, Raybon, over toward Waynesville, Atkinson, Mount Pleasant, Hortense, and Broadhurst under this. And I know if you're watching on internet, for instance, I mean, these warnings here, you don't have to be in a covered area. You can see us. It's not like an antenna or cable where it cuts off. So anybody, even up in Wayne County, can see us. So that seems to be where the bigger threat. Maybe setting up just right there on the Brantley and Wayne County line right now. So we're going to continue to watch that carefully here on this Tuesday evening. So again, let's go ahead and see where else we want to go with this. I know sometimes you can just get enough values here in play to get this stuff to develop enough in the atmosphere to kind of get these storms to get going. As we have another warning now coming down from the Tallahassee office. So let's go ahead and jump to the Broadview now. You'll see it pop up here in just a second. It's going to be a warning for Berrien, Colquitt, as well as Cook and Tift counties. It's going to be to the left here, so we're going to have three of them kind of left to right here across the screen. So again, you see the considerable damage threat still for Atkinson and Coffee still. Golf ball size hail possibility there as we're looking 7 miles south of Douglas. As you see our third warning now, actually kind of hooking on to the one I see by the Jacksonville office. I know Jacksonville is responsible for the warnings here to the east, but Tallahassee to the west. So let's go ahead and put those precautions right now. Let me go ahead and put up those severe thunderstorm warning precautions as we kind of stick with you here. We have 3 warnings now in play. With one's a considerable damage threat, one has a tornado possible tag on it. The third here is just a base warning. The hail actually below, actually no it is, okay, it is a base warning completely. It is for 1 inch hail and 60 mile an hour winds. I thought I saw one of these here might have been for a little bit less at some point, but that one is for 1 inch size hail here and 60 mile an hour wind gusts potential at 6:47. We were tracking a severe thunderstorm located there 11 miles south of Tifton, moving east at about 10 miles an hour. Nashville, Adele, Sparks, Enigma, Omega there, Omega, depending on how you pronounce that there locally. Lenox, Alethea, so Ellington there, the Reen-Beanham State Park area. We're watching things carefully up here. Berrien County Airport as well. So having in our other mode here, we have the different color table. I didn't use this yesterday, and we had some of these out toward Oklahoma, but just since it's in our local area, I wanted to make sure we focused here on the delineation between a regular severe thunderstorm warning or a base one versus one that has the higher end threat here. So there's 3 different levels you can have. The third would actually sound on a phone like a tornado warning would with the emergency alert system per se, but this is level 2 here. It is considered a considerable damage to the thunderstorm if the hail got bigger, which we wouldn't expect in this part of the country generally to get too much bigger, but it would be destructive severe thunderstorm. We haven't had one of those yet in our area, I do not believe, here at this point, since they've been doing that delineation here. I could be wrong. Maybe in one of those severe scenarios where we had it for a little bit, but I do not believe we've had that quite yet here. Hopefully don't have that for a while, but you never know. We're going to be here watching things for you, obviously. I know there's no formal severe risk. As you can see, this general thunderstorm activity was expected here today, but if you've been in this area for a long enough time, you'll know that it doesn't really matter sometimes, folks, what the outlooks say, because when you have this activity here in the summertime time frame, pretty much getting close to it, you'll just have the energy of the day, and things kind of just sparkling off here, and that's what we're seeing right now. So, again, that's what we're dealing with. Let's take a look at some of those joule per kilogram values. 2,500, 2,300. I know some of this is pretty sciencey. Not really talked about normally on air, but we're just going to go ahead and talk about it here just to kind of break this down meteorologically for you. 2,500 joules per kilogram here in this general vicinity, and that's promoting some severe thunderstorm activity here for sure. So remember, when thunder roars, you want to go indoors, seek shelter inside a sturdy building, and get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, it's a thunderstorm warning out here. 11 miles south of Tifton's where the worst of this is, moving east at 10 miles an hour. This is a warning for parts of Cook, Berrien, Colquitt, and Tipp County till 7:45. That's almost an hour-long warning. A second warning here with a considerable damage tag for parts of Coffee and Atkinson until 7:15. And then a third warning over to the east here for parts of, it looks like, Pierce, Brantley, and Wayne until 7:15. That has a tornado possible tag on, and actually seeing some of that rotation now showing up more just in areas to the south. So let's see here. This is showing up around Hortense now, which is in our viewing area a little bit more versus just outside of the viewing area. You can see here we have some greens and reds trying to come together. Oh, and that's a little bit, I know, backing this up, kind of lose some things. But you kind of see here as they're tracking this, they're saying it's moving east, but it looked like they're, to kind of look at maybe kind of drifting south with formation here. And sometimes when looks like you have some storms trying to hook in, sometimes when these hook together, you can get something real quick, but then it'll probably fade away here, any type of circulation. So that'd be the good news here, not long lasting, anything to that regard at least. But we're just going to continue to watch things. I know we're on the air with you as we know generally be getting ready more for that update. We'll be doing that update here, but it's probably going to be pushed back a little bit at this point because we're having to give you this coverage here to keep you, your friends, and your family protected. We've had hail reported earlier toward the Big Bend. We had an inside hail report. It was a time we were on. We had some smaller before, but when we were on, came after the fact, after our coverage concluded, but we found out there was a report of hail to an inch in diameter there in parts of that Leon County area. But again, just to remind you where we cover here. Our coverage area, of course, 62 counties, North Florida and South Georgia. We're based in Bradford County, but we don't go on for all the severe thunderstorm warnings, especially as we get to this period where we have them pop up. But when we have a situation where we have a considerable damage threat, we have one with a tornado possible tag and a third warning, and some of these are impacting some populated areas to some extent. We need to be on here to keep you updated. Now, the logo's red because of Oklahoma tomorrow, not because of what we're seeing here locally. But again, we're on the air. If there's ever a tornado or a storm moving through any one of these 62 counties, we're always with you to protect you, your friends, and your family on all the different platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So again, just trying to kind of run that down for you guys here as we continue the coverage here onto those different platforms. Again, looking down toward Hortense right now. Maybe some stronger winds coming on through right about now. We'll have to watch here around Hortense. The rotation's not anything crazy. I don't think it's enough for a tornado warning right now, but you never know. One more radar scan and maybe things change as we see even, it looks like another storm trying to get us out together. Now we've been switching radars, so that's why you lose the frame there. But this is west of Dixie Union there. It looks like as we get toward Elias Moore Road, we have a new warning coming there pretty soon. And then you see toward Pearson there. I've really picked up in the hail production on that latest scan toward Will Lewis Road now in Atkinson County. It looks like that's where we're tracking things right now. That's our considerable threat here, a considerable hail threat. As we go to the correlation coefficient, you can see here those hydrometeors aren't quite uniform here as we get up into the atmosphere. Granted, we're looking maybe on a radar here, and you can see it there. It might not be the best radar for this, so let's go back to the Moody. We'll switch you on over to that here in a second. Let me go ahead and go back on over right now. We had, by the way, if you saw the tag, we did have a warning here. It was in effect just for a little longer while we were coming on the air a little while ago toward Madison County, but that action has weakened down here. More of the strong storms right there near the Florida border and Georgia border at this point. But we're going to continue to watch here as we get toward Georgia. You see Albany now. That center does read a little bit high sometimes, but 92 degrees there at the Southwest Georgia Airport. Indicative of all those higher surface-based key values that we're seeing here on your screen in that orange. Again, looking over 2,000. I mean, even in that red, you have 3,000 joules per kilogram here. So having that storm development an issue here for sure. Let's get back on over to the Moody radar now. It's going to be a little bit closer. You're able to see what's going on. You see here right around Sunnyside Church Road here. Watching things carefully in that area for sure. And then we have another view for you now. Let's go to the infrared satellite imagery. You can see here in southern Georgia. You can see here all this thunderstorm activity, these colder cloud tops here, especially the two storms to the east here. The one with the considerable damage tag and then the other with the tornado possible tag. We're getting them stronger storm development here. And that means the storms could end up having a higher threat to get that energy down toward the surface, that wind damage or hail potential down toward the surface here as we're looking here in our coverage areas. So again, time right now is 6:56. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we're on Twitch to keep you guys informed here this afternoon going into the evening hours. I know generally be getting ready for that regularly scheduled update, but at this point we got to stay with it because of what we're seeing within the Doppler algorithms. Seeing these storms kind of overachieve. But again, if you're familiar with this area a lot and know this area long enough, I mean, this just happens as we get toward May, June, July, and August, really, especially June and July. That's where you get a lot of it, even earlier in August, too, don't get me wrong. That's when you really get a focal point on this afternoon type activity. May sometimes is more about stuff once it gets going. Actually, some of these days are not as many maybe, but some of the days it actually happens is more like what we're probably going to see toward the weekend. We have maybe some type of system coming in. We actually could have a legitimate type tornado threat here in play to some regard, or more organized severe weather at least. But this looks pretty organized right now, despite it being pop-up activity. So we have to take it seriously as we continue to provide you this information here. We're just kind of sticking with it at this point because these storms are impressive enough to do so. Again, I'm checking behind the scenes. If we have some power outages, maybe we can kind of give you that information here. Again, just trying to see exactly what's going on here on all the different sources that we have. I know quite a few power outages toward Ohio and Pennsylvania, and that's where we have a bigger severe threat setting on up here today. So let's go ahead and zoom on out here. I know you see a severe thunderstorm warning in northern Alabama. You got some there in North Carolina, Virginia, but then a tornado watch here toward parts of areas there in Ohio and Pennsylvania. You don't see any tornado warnings right now, but a lot of wind damage reports there toward areas there as we get south of Pittsburgh. It looks like showing up now. You see a considerable damage warning for 70-mile-an-hour winds there toward Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. So let me go ahead and zoom in there. We're going to go ahead and zoom in toward this area right now. I know, watching things carefully there because there is that tornado watch in play. They're having to deal with that threat as we get up there. That tornado watch says go until 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to continue to watch things carefully here as we look at the Doppler radar. We're just trying to give you the latest updates here as we're reaching that top of the hour now with our coverage. So again, you see the warnings up there. You see some more warnings that are west of Pittsburgh to track 1 to be precise here. That's really a bigger warning at this point, but just getting the latest radar scans in here, and we're tracking things here very carefully. So we're seeing 60-mile-an-hour wind potential and some power outage danger possibly up there. Let's go ahead and go to the power outage U.S. map right now. We're going to go to the nation view because this is a bigger national story here. You can see 32,236 customers in the dark. In Ohio, 29,405. In Pennsylvania, you see South Carolina over 5,000 as well. California, West Virginia trail, but you can see they're on the top 5 list as we get toward Pennsylvania first off. Where some of these outages are, we'll kind of look here. I'd assume the western part of the state, but we'll let this map load if it does. It may not actually. It looks like we're having an issue with that right now. There we go. Probably a lot of people trying to get on this to see what's going on, but 9,000 customers in the dark toward Washington County, Pennsylvania, and Westmoreland County there, and you can see Cameron County a lot less, but it's about percentages and lower percentage in toward Allegheny County there, but you kind of get the idea as we get toward Pittsburgh there. We're continuing to watch things for sure. Overall, with the outages, I kind of move that down so you see where we're pointing at a little bit. There's Washington County, Pennsylvania, Westmoreland County, and Allegheny. That's where the bulk of the outages are in the state right now there with that national storyline. And in Ohio here, let's get over there. So you guys, what's going on in that state? You can see here, Hawkins County, nearly 8,000 customers in the dark. That's a high percentage there of outages, so maybe some more damaging type weather coming through there, possibly, at least according to this. And then as you get towards some of the other counties here, you kind of get the idea with some of these outages popping on up as well in that state now. And locally, haven't seen too many outages, enough to pop up really too high on this. There are 2,894 customers in the dark in the state. Let's see where they are. You see a few in Taylor and a few in Madison and Hamilton and Suwanee. May have some lighting issues or wind, or maybe I guess probably wouldn't really knock out power, but you could have issues with the lighting, mainly what we're talking about there. As we get to Georgia now, you know, as you see more central Georgia, here as we get toward Coffee County, that seems to have been the focal point for some of this action here over the last little bit. And there are 714 customers in the dark there in Coffee County, Georgia right now. So gonna continue to track things very carefully. Let me go ahead and switch away from that mapping now. Get back to the local viewpoint. Let's see what the warnings look like right now. We still got 3 of them. We still got our hail indicators popping on up here. Definitely seeing that within our Doppler system. You can see here just east of Willacoochee, northwest of Pearson, we're seeing hail maybe up to about 1 inch and at 2/10 in diameter. And you can see how maybe a little bit bigger earlier on as we look at that. And you can see what we're dealing with toward the east as well, north of Nahana here in the ward parts of Pierce County, really. You can see it kind of on the line there between some of the other counties as well, but just trying to give you guys an idea of what's happening. I mean, honestly, you could see it's in parts of Brantley County here as well, but again, I continue to track things. It's actually showing up to about 1.5 inches in diameter now, so that's pretty impressive. Now, we had almost 2 inches showing up earlier in the Big Bend, and that was the only report we really got so far, at least, that confirmed the severe criteria. There was a report, maybe of some golf ball size hail toward Douglas earlier, but haven't seen that confirmed quite yet. So I will continue to watch. The reports I've seen so far, besides the one in the Big Bend, have been below technically the severe limit of 1 inch in diameter, where you start to have the potential for damage. I know years ago they had it where it was 3/4 of an inch in diameter. That was your severe thunderstorm warning criteria, and that caused even more warnings to be issued. And you don't want to have too many warnings issued for things, especially this time of year. You can have even more storms that meet that criteria. Granted, I guess he could give you a little earlier warning for the higher threat of the updraft development, but overall here, sometimes it just cuts down on the number of warnings, which helps these other warnings be taken more seriously. So, got to keep that in mind here. You see in Florida right now, things don't look impressive at all. Granted, some of the models are developing things as we look later on toward maybe Interstate 75 or in north central Florida. So we'll watch here for some of that development. I mean, the temperatures are still supportive of that to some extent. We have those surface-based K values enough. Hopefully, get lucky. Actually, interesting to see that around Bradford and Alachua lower values. See if that kind of affects things later on or not. But we'll continue to watch things carefully in the Doppler radar and the algorithms that we have here. So we're at 7:04 right now. I mean, until we start to get these to come down with 3 warnings, we're not going to wrap it up here, even though we're not necessarily sure how much of this is causing severe conditions down to the surface right now. With 3 warnings here, just we don't want to wrap things up yet. Let's see what this is showing us. They haven't taken the tornado possible tag away yet. Granted, been 20 minutes and hear the update. I was about to say I thought they might take it out here in the latest update, but the beep means they're still in there. So still that small chance of a spin-off tornado here in this area. So let's look here. I'm going to put a Jacksonville site back up because our Moody site's not showing that rotation at this point, which is good news, obviously. But our Jacksonville site may, as this warning does, continue for parts of Brantley, Pearson, Wayne for another 10 minutes or so. So got to continue to watch this progress here of the storminess. You can see what's happening. Again, we weren't really expecting development like this here across the region, but it is getting closer toward that summertime period as we keep reiterating, and it starts to get almost unpredictable here. I mean, you just kind of have to watch storms develop, to be quite honest. I mean, that's just how it works here sometimes. I know could end up having some patchy fog here late tonight and early Wednesday toward inland northeast Florida, southeast Georgia, and then we'll see how things kind of develop later on. Again, toward the weekend, I think will be the higher concentration of activity. That's a little more concerning, but in terms of maybe a more widespread type threat, maybe a thunderstorm watch or tornado watch or something. We'll see. I haven't had a chance to get through the forecast yet, so we'll see how those rain chances look here at this point. We're just continuing to cover right now to keep you, your friends, and your family safe, because right now what is going on within the Doppler signatures, that's what our biggest concern is. You see weak rotation here. That's what I would call it at this point here. Just west of US 301, actually. Now, if you don't realize that, US 301 goes a long way. It's not just in north central Florida. It goes a long way here, folks, in this country, and we're tracking that road even here in southeast Florida. But again, going much further up than that. But again, you can see here, watching some of these greens and reds try to come together, but nothing too tight at this point. I mean, we're high enough up, theoretically, we could miss a quick spin up and it could cause a little bit of damage here. I mean, it could really cause an issue to like a shed or something like that, but we've seen some of that here. Says can pretty much be destroyed, or mobile homes even in a lower end tornado. But a straight built structure like a home, really you wouldn't have that concern as much, probably. Can't guarantee it, but probably not in this type of situation here. But we'll just continue to monitor things, and trying to see what else we're getting within the Doppler. We have 3 warnings. If you're just tuning in right now, it's 7:07 here in the Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud, of course, watching that coverage here. You have the option to watch it here on Facebook, on Twitter. I'll go ahead and pull up our platform information real quick as I say this. But Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch here with the coverage. You have the links all there, cloudweather.com. And you guys have cloudweather.com/radar, and we're not on the air here to see what's going on with the threats here across the viewing area. So, but to recap what we're doing right now, tracking storms, we have 1 warning for parts of Cook, Berrien, Colquitt, and Tip till 7:45. So a thunderstorm warning there. 1 with a considerable damage tag for parts of Coffee and Atkinson until 7:15, and then the 3rd one until 7:15 for parts of Pearson, Brantley, in our area, and Wayne, which is just outside of our area. So I know we actually do have a graphic here that we were working on earlier. I do have it in a system here. This is for our show here later tonight, whenever we have a chance to get to that at this point, since we're in this extended coverage because of all these different warnings. Yeah, I mean, we try to not come on maybe if it's 1 warning or something that's not as significant, but we've seen enough of these warnings, and one with a considerable damage tag and the other with a tornado possible tag. We kind of need to stick with this here for at least the next little bit until we see a little bit better trends here within the Doppler radar algorithm. So let's go ahead and pop up the graphics here. You can see next 7 days in terms of rainfall in Oklahoma. I know seeing that rain really add on up here. Again, might have to be with you for some national level coverage tomorrow. That's why the logo is red, because that's going to be a threat there tomorrow toward Oklahoma. And then as we look toward maybe the Arkansas mist there toward Memphis on your I guess Thursday here at this point, as we're looking at that timeline. With things. I know we were on yesterday, so trying to get my days straight here, but on your Thursday. So this is going to be an extended threat. I mean, Missouri as well, watching on Thursday for some severe weather concerns. So significant tornado threat there toward the Oklahoma-Texas border. It looks like Oklahoma-Texas border there. Definitely something to watch, and you can see the rain that's coming out of this at least. I'll have some of the other information later, but there to look at that rainfall forecast here, that QPF here. Where you see 3-4 inches adding up there in the lower parts of eastern, southeastern Oklahoma, depending on where you're at. I mean, even northeast Oklahoma and around Tulsa will be getting into some of this as well, though. So we'll keep our eyes on everything here. Let's go ahead and move away from that mode here right now, though. These storms still impressive. This actually looks a little bit stronger down toward Nahana. I mean, we're really seeing a robust development here. I mean, that's just a few frames, and we've seen that really come together. Maybe enough for a new warning now as we get closer toward Nahana and Hoboken now over the next little bit in Brantley County. So we have to play this by ear to see exactly what's going to happen down there. I know we're also tracking some severe weather again in Ohio, where we just had a new tornado warning issued for. It looks like some decently populated areas here. So let's go ahead and pop this up southwest of Cleveland. We're going to go ahead and check on that right now as we're watching that national level threat. This is a tornado warning now for Lorain County, central Lorain County, until 7:45. At 7:10, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Wellington, or 12 miles, it looks like, southwest of El Raya, if I'm pronouncing that right, or I may not be pronouncing that right there as we're looking up toward that area. But we're going to continue to watch this as we're looking toward North Ridgeville and Grafton and Wellington there, Overland in Ohio. There's a possible tornado being detected within the Doppler radar algorithms right now as we're looking near Wellington, Ohio. But I don't always get up there, so I just want to kind of touch on it. I know continuing to watch things carefully up there. You see some of these higher gusts earlier off toward the west, and the tornado parameters here. I'll switch over to those. See a little bit of that still out there, and instability. Not that much instability, but as you get down here, you have tons of instability, but you don't really have any tornado parameters at all showing up, and that's why we're not really tracking a tornado threat overall. I know we had some rotation. You can get a quick spin up with some boundaries, things like that here, but overall, the tornado threat is near zero. It's not zero, but it's near zero here today in our coverage area. So, again, we're tracking things as we look here north of Nashville. You see now 1.42 inches on the hail tracker. Let's zoom in here. That's the orange area. Indicative of that as we're looking toward the east of Lenox now. We're seeing some of that here. As we get back to the local area again, you can see west of Pearson, a little bit lower maybe on that hail. You see how we had an into now. It's a little bit less as it drifts down toward Pearson, it looks like. And then toward Nahunta here, actually seeing a little less on that storm, but the other storm will be trying to take over now down toward the south. So we'll have to watch for that now as we look towards southern Georgia. So again, those three warnings in play. The one with the highest hail parameters showing up right now is as we get toward areas north of Nashville here. So talking about areas in south central Georgia, really, in Berrien County. I mean, you're really seeing some of that on another mode. I'm going to switch back on over to them in just a moment here. Again, we're sticking with you as long as we need to keep everybody safe. We're not always on this time of year for severe thunderstorm warnings, but with three of them in play and the considerable damage tag, we just don't want to let our guard down here in this type of scenario because, I mean, a tornado possible tag, granted, I don't think that threat is overwhelming, but you could get a weak spin up here for sure. That can cause issues. I mean, look, you remember see this on our other mode, but I want to see these boundaries here. Look at these boundaries. I mean, this is so on there. We have these different atmospheric things happening that can cause storms here to evolve or really show what has happened with the storminess overall here over the last little bit. So you just have to kind of monitor that. I know you can actually see some of these kind of going on off here in that motion. So we're watching that, and okay, they're going with a new warning now. So let's see what we got here with all these different boundaries. That can cause spin-ups, but see that little area in the southern end there, watching that in Brantley. But this new warning now is for parts, it looks like, of Brantley, Charleston, Pierce, Ware, and Wayne until 7:45 is a considerable damage threat tag one, and it has a tornado possible tag in it. So double whammy there in terms of that potential with the higher hail threat and also the quick spin up tornado potential. So about to see that pop up here. Give our system just a second to catch up here, and you'll see that I have it on another system if it doesn't pop next couple seconds, but sometimes we have it set on, there it is, but we have them set on different warning methods to get the alerts, because just in case one of them goes down, I'm able to see the warnings pop up here in the Weather Center no matter what, really, at least on one of our systems. But so one's a little bit quicker sometimes than the other, but there it is. There's your orange polygon. We'll just show it on here because it does see that considerable danger on this system. This is a warning here as you see that storm accent expanding down toward Nahunta now. This is for southeastern Pierce, Brantley, east central Ware, as well as south central Wayne, and northeastern Charlton until 7:45. At 7:13, as if a thunderstorm was located near Raybon or near Nahunta, moving south at about 15 miles an hour. So that movement changing around here in this robust environment. Goff also has hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds and threats in Nahunta, Hickok there, as well as areas there. Looks like around Raybon, Race Pond, Fort Mudge, Atkinson, Hortons, and Winnaker. So the latest update has 2 warnings now. We've cleared out 2 and kind of replaced with 2, but we just got another update here to the west. It just cleared out Colquitt, but they're continuing this warning here. The yellow box reports of Berrien, Cook, and Tift until 7:45 here this evening. So we got to continue to watch this. Nashville, Adele, Sparks, Enigma. Get the idea. That general was centered here, and you see some of the highest hail potential there northwest of Nashville in Georgia. Not Nashville, Tennessee, but Nashville, Georgia, seeing 1.14 inch size hail according to our detection software right now. The hail looks slower here at this moment, but we're seeing some more development on the south end. I know it kind of flickers on you, but the south end, and that could be problematic over the next little bit. So let's get back on over to other mode. It's a busy afternoon now, busy evening here, Roy, as we progress in the daytime toward the evening at this point. You can see what's happening with the Doppler radar technology. You see the word Berrien here north of Nashville, some hail potential. Get closer toward County Road 125, and you have this little hook on this storm there north of Winnaker. No tornado warning right now, but we're going to keep the stream up. I'm going to take a quick break, catch my breath here. Be back in about 5 minutes with more information as we continue to protect you, your friends, and your family. We're keeping the stream going to keep you guys advised of the weather situation on this Tuesday. I know seeing things a little bit in development down towards southwestern Alachua. We'll see if things get going down here later, but right now, watching the 2 warnings in southern Georgia, those are our primary concern. At the present time, the 1 in orange, considerable damage, threat, and a tornado possible tag for parts of Brantley, Charlton, Pierce, Ware, and Wayne until 7:45. And then another one here for parts of Berrien, Cook, and Tip, the regular until 7:45. We just got a new warning now for Atkinson, Clinch, and Coffee. That's a considerable damage threat until 7:45 here with the hail potential on that one, the golf ball size as well. The storm's getting going here enough to maybe produce that size of hail down toward the surface. That's a new warning now just popping up. That includes again areas there toward Coffee, southwestern Coffee, Atkinson, northwestern Clinch, near Pearson, moving south at 15 miles an hour. Pearson, Willacoochee, and Axon under that warning. Golf ball size hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds are the primary threat. We'll be back here in about 5 minutes.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center at 7:23 on this Tuesday. Again, you see 3 polygons on the screen right now. We're tracking 3 severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect right now. Again, getting new information in here as we speak. Just trying to see exactly what the warnings are showing us here. We're getting the latest radar scans in. For sure, you do see severe thunderstorm warnings right now. The orange polygon toward the east, the furthest toward the east here, that goes for parts of Pierce, Brantley, Ware, Wayne, and Charlton until 7:45. The one there in the middle for Coffee, Atkinson, and Clinton until 7:45, and the one on the far left here is for parts of Cook, Berrien, and Tipped until 7:45. So we're going to continue to watch things very carefully, obviously, here in the Weather Center. As we're monitoring our different radar algorithms as they come on in here. I know the hail threat right now, and the one in the west may actually be the biggest here. It's showing 1.42 inches in diameter here on our hail mode. So that's something we're going to keep our eyes on here for sure. As we're looking north of Nashville here. Again, continuing to watch that. You can see the lightning here as well. That's something we haven't touched on too much, but remember, when you hear thunder roar, you want to go indoors here in this type of setup. So, again, got to do that here in this situation. That can be dangerous. It can be deadly here, that lightning here in this type of scenario. So, again, we have to watch this situation carefully as we continue to give you the latest updates. Excuse me. As we continue to zoom on out now, I do want to go to Ohio because we do actually have a tornado warning in play up there. Let me go ahead and take off our alert super, and we'll go up there toward Lorain County where there's a possible tornado there toward that area, as we have some radar indicated rotation overlapping here with the higher tornado parameters. You see that blue? That's what that is, and then the yellow behind is a tornado watch until 9 o'clock Eastern time for some of these areas here toward parts of Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia at this point. Looks like they've cleared out here as I kind of look at this Indiana, the portion of Indiana that was under it. But you kind of get the idea of what we're dealing with from that national perspective. We are tracking some severe weather potential up that way. You can see what's going on here as I continue to zoom on out. But let's get back down toward the south now. You can see, I know, actually in central to South Florida here, in southern parts of Polk County, you can see hail about 1 inch in diameter. So went up southeast of Lakeland. I could get a warning by the Tampa office here over the next little bit. We'll wait and see on that. And a little lightning in northeastern parts of Levy County, but I know just general vicinity, not the exact spot necessarily, but we did see a whole bunch of rain here as we were getting toward areas like Trenton, Newberry. Looking back, we were tracking that for you here yesterday toward Gilchrist County in our special coverage of the national level threat. But again, continuing to watch things carefully. I know. And we'll see if things kind of sparkling up on us here later on in north central Florida as we look at those surface phase heat values once again. I'm just continuing to watch them carefully, obviously, here in the Weather Center. Some of these values have gone down some now. We were seeing that red area earlier, but not seeing that. That was indicative of values there over 3,000 joules per kilogram, but now under 3,000 joules per kilogram. So, again, that's some good news, at least here, as we're watching things. I know we get kind of sciencey sometimes, talking about joules per kilogram here, but again, just trying to see exactly what's going on here. We're just trying to give you guys the latest information here for sure on how these storms can develop. As I know we're kind of repeating ourselves at this point, but we weren't necessarily expecting to be on this long here. But the threat, until I see the threat wane some more, I can't wrap it up and get ready for our full update here, because we still have the potential for some danger here in South Georgia with this severe weather potential. These storms have always started out pretty quick. I know, seeing different boundaries, and I'll say that to you guys again now within our other Doppler radar. Let me go ahead and say that here. We'll go ahead and do that in just a second. You'll see what I'm talking about here as we get toward parts of Berrien County. You see the storminess in Atkinson, but then you see these boundaries toward the south. I mean, look at this. Seeing some more storminess form now in parts of Clinton County. A new lightning strike just being detected here as we get in down really tight. Some of these different roads popping on up here. They're pretty rural roads. It looks like they're not actually showing up on my source here for what they are generally, but kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about here. with these boundaries sparking off here some more development. So again, just got to continue to watch as we get toward Berrien County. You can see here south of Alafaya now. We're getting into that area. We may be having some hail. So up here with our correlation coefficient product, here detecting maybe something a little bit different in the hydrometeors there versus it just being rain. It might be some hail here as we're getting toward County Road 354. So again, gotta continue to watch for that. Let's get on over to the east. You see toward parts of Atkinson County. That warning going there with a considerable threat to 745 for parts of Coffee, Atkinson, and Clint. One to the west here is still for parts of Cook, Berrien, and Tift. And the third warning here, further towards southeastern Georgia, is for Pierce, Brantley, Ware, Wayne, and Charlton. There's also a escalated warning, a level 2 severe thunderstorm warning on that 3-level scale, Roy. I know it also has the tornado possible tag. Something to watch here as well. I'm going to try to pull up a graphic, by the way, here in the meantime. So give me just a sec. I'm just trying to pull up a graphic here. It's going to show our different criteria here that's used here in these type of situations from time to time, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. You may not know what I mean. I know you saw the orange, and that's a different level. It'll have a black stripe in it if it's a level 3, Roy, and that one goes off on your phone like a tornado warning would. But that's one reason that Roy prompted us to come on the air here, is when we had that considerable one issued earlier off a little further to the west here. It prompted us to come on the air, and now we've had some more of those coming on out over the last little bit. Considerable damage here. I know any severe thunderstorm can be dangerous. Any thunderstorm can be dangerous. Remember, when a thunder roars, you want to go indoors and seek shelter inside a sturdy building. Stay away from windows. But the considerable threat hadn't been for the wind here. The tornado possible tag doesn't count in that necessarily. Tornadoes can be weaker or stronger in terms of the gate-to-gate anyway. But the max hail size is what's prompted us to see at 1.75 within the radar services warning, the weather services warnings using the radar technology. So gonna continue to watch things carefully here. When it hits 1.75 inches, that prompts it to be a considerable threat, not just a base severe thunderstorm warning. And if it hit 2.75, that really gets high and dangerous. Then it'll be a destructive severe storm. We haven't had any of those. I do not believe they're in our covered area as of yet. Here I know there was one looking back a week and a half ago, I guess it was, toward the western Florida Panhandle. That general vicinity, we've seen some like that there recently, but not in our covered area at this point. But that can always change pretty rapidly here as we continue to watch things here in the Weather Center. So again, just trying to give you some different graphical perspectives here for everybody at home. Again, you can see here we're watching things in Brantley County right now. You see a little bit of wind enhancement there north of Hoboken. This is off the Moody's site, 4,000 feet up. By the way, just a quick radar lesson while we're continuing this coverage. When we're looking here at the radar, I know what we're doing with that, folks, is trying to assess the beam height, Roy, here with things. And lower the beam height is now. If it's too low, you're not going to see stuff. But if you're at an optimal height, you get your tornado circulations or wind speeds estimated at a pretty good level to see what's translating down toward the surface. And that's why we look at that, because sometimes one radar is closer than the other. And then if you use the one with a better, more accurate beam height here in comparison to the wind, better beam height is what I'm trying to say. It gives you more accurate measurement of the wind. So again, just trying to give you guys a quick radar lesson there as we're watching things and continuing our coverage here. So we've got 3 warnings here on the board right now. Let me see what we got in our algorithms. And by the way, at some point, if we really started to go past here our normal update, or past our normal update time, we'll just try to incorporate in here in this update, and we'll try to do something to that effect. But we're not to that point yet, but at some point we may get to that if these storms really continue to hint around. Granted, our surface cape values have dropped off some, so hopefully, and this time of year when they're more fueled by the daytime heating, generally you'll get the weakening. But again, some of our models have been showing some interesting things here as we look ahead. I'm going to get our model pulled up actually, because we'll try to get that in another source here in just a moment, because I'm curious to see what it's showing now. Since we've been in this covered last little bit, having a chance to look at the latest runs, they change pretty quick here in this type of environment, and they're still showing some stuff here later on, but they're doing okay, but it's not doing great though. overall. So it's kind of interesting. We'll go ahead and go to that here, our GR model computer right now. Let me switch that on over, and we'll go ahead. I want to make sure if anybody's tuning in that you're looking, you're looking at a forecast model. This is 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I'm not really necessarily picking up good on the stuff to the south of it because it actually isn't in play here really at this point. To the north, though, actually doing a decent job there. And some of that, it says that kind of falling apart and weakening going southeast, but then more developing maybe towards darker McClenny as we get. I mean, 4Z is midnight, so we'll have to see how things kind of hold together, just kind of scrubbing between. If you look in the far right corner, you see the time here that we're done with. That's 11 o'clock. And it's 10 o'clock there. You see some development, but looking like mainly the stronger accents, not as much in the picture there. And as you get into word, your Wednesday, you don't see too much. So we're going to restart this once again here. Maybe bring it all the way back over. Again, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So kind of giving you guys an idea of what the model, at least the ERRR run, is presenting to us here with the development through the evening hours. Now let's go ahead and we'll jump away from the model for a moment. I know we're getting some updates on some warnings, and we'll continue to see what's happening here in the weather center. Let me see what we want to go to now. We'll pop that radar back up for you guys actually here at 7:34. So again, that's what we're dealing with right now, the current viewpoint of our technology here. We still have the 3 warnings on the board, so going to continue to watch that. And I do want to give you guys a long-term model outlook here. Now, we'll try to do this here the best we can. It's not going to be the easiest to do, but I know you'll be able to see interesting stuff even when we start off. But and this will kind of see why it's hard to forecast what we've been dealing with today even, because we're going to go ahead and switch to our GFS run now. Our GFS run, let me go ahead and go to that. I know we've been on for a while now, so my voice might give out here and there, but let's go ahead and go to this. You want to see this is supposed to be 5 o'clock and some more development in this 8 o'clock. Obviously, we had severe storms. That's why sometimes the forecast isn't the best here when we're done with this accident. This kind of develops on us. It's not really picked up good by the models here as we get into your Wednesday. This is 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m., kind of looking there. As we get into word Thursday, you don't see too much showing up here, but the reason I'm showing this is because as we started to get into word the 6th, so that's Friday, you can start to see stuff coming in from the north and west here. Now, it's not maybe showing as much as it was. That could have implications for the forecast that'll come up here in a moment. Hopefully, once we wrap this up. But you see Saturday, it's showing some stuff toward North Florida. Again, not quite as much as it was showing earlier, so that could have some implications here for the forecast. But again, that's the latest run of our GFS model here. Again, granted, it was underdoing today's stuff, but the other accent will be a little easier to pick up in the model guidance. So that's something to bear in mind here for sure as we're continuing to watch the situation. So let me go ahead now. We'll take off our model super again. Let's see where we want to go with this. I think we want to go back on over to the DR Earth computer. So I'm going to get that set back on up here for you guys. See you guys what we're doing with as we continue to watch things very carefully. I know I said since we have the model stuff pulled up here, since I'm off camera, it's a little easier sometimes to run actually when we're looking at the model. So I'm going to pull up our severe weather that are national. So the reason the logo is red in the first place really is for what we're going to be doing with off toward the west. And we have ERRR for that out a pretty good ways. So now, granted, I haven't had a chance to go over everything out here because we've been in this cupboard the last little bit. Haven't put together the full report yet for you guys, everything in that. But we're going to start off around noon Central Time with this. I might have to move this around once we pull it back up here for you guys. But we'll move this around just a little bit here so you guys get a good view of what we're doing with. So we're looking toward especially Oklahoma. This is noon Central Time tomorrow here. You don't see too much severe potential overall here in terms of the parameters setting on up. It doesn't look like at this point. But you'll just be able to see the model. I mean, you don't have to be a meteorologist to figure out what I'm about to say here in terms of the severe weather potential trying to come into fruition. So this is going to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock. But then as you keep looking here, you see some of these purple, some of these individual storms start to develop. And that's when you have issues here later in the day, closer to the Oklahoma-Texas border. And eventually stuff isn't as discrete. But when we have discrete storms, that's going to be the question the Storm Prediction Center was saying. The discrete storms here in parts of Oklahoma. As we look, this is 2Z, so that is around 9 o'clock Central tomorrow. So that kind of becomes more in a messy scenario, meaning maybe not as much in the way of isolated storms able to produce stronger tornadoes, but still maybe some weaker tornadoes here at that point. But earlier on, maybe some stronger tornadoes trying to get going. As we look at 23Z, 0, and 1Z, you kind of get the idea. These isolated storms, if they're more discrete, that becomes a little more problematic. So again, watch that, but eventually maybe a more of a wind and embedded tornado threat as we get off toward the east. Here it looks like, based on the model gun, to see more of a QLCS type scenario, maybe trying to set up here as we get toward Arkansas and toward early on that Thursday, and then some more development as we get toward Thursday. I mean, you see it there down toward Little Rock and Shreveport. This is toward Thursday afternoon, so have to continue to watch that already. Sending enhanced risk in play for day 3 as well, so got to continue to monitor that potential. Obviously, 17Z is 12 o'clock Central Time on Thursday, so just trying to break that down for you. I know it's not that obvious, I guess, if you're, I don't want to overuse the word obvious, because obviously if you're not a meteorologist or somebody that deals with Z time, Zulu time, it's really hard to do that time conversion. So that's the reason we have our logo red, because of that threat for some of the isolated stronger tornadoes there in southern Oklahoma could be a bigger deal. They're south of Oklahoma City, especially closer down toward the Texas border in between is where we're talking. So giving you guys that rundown real quick, just trying to give you guys a little bit of information while we wait for updates here from the Weather Service in Jacksonville and continue to kind of babysit these storms. So again, there's the current radar view. Let's get back on over, make sure we're getting the latest scans here. You'll be able to see we still have the hail parameter of an inch showing up there toward parts of areas there. It looks like south of Pearson. Have to watch for that. You see south of Alafaya there, down with some hail potential in that area as well. We're going to continue to watch that up to about 8/10 of an inch in diameter there. So you kind of get the idea. We're still done with this threat. And you still have the third warning here, though, the 7:45 toward the east. Excuse me, I apologize here, as we've been on for a while. South looks like 15 miles an hour is the movement on the considerable threat it was. They have now downgraded this, it looks like, in that update on this one to the east to just a, looks like here, just a regular type of severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail. So, gonna zoom back on out right now. I know checking some different things here behind the scenes. I want to see what's happening here at this moment. I know we're getting some different things in here in the chat. I just want to make sure that we kind of understand exactly what's going on here, here in the Weather Center. Make sure we're reporting everything we can to you guys as it does come on out here from the Weather Service. I see they just have expired the warning there. One of the warnings in play is we're looking toward Brantley, Pearson, Ware counties now. Hopefully that's a good sign here for us being able to wrap up the coverage pretty soon. Hopefully a pretty good sign. But let's go ahead and continue to see here. We still have 2 areas here that are warned, to 1 till 7:45 for parts of Coffee, Atkinson, and Clintz. This one here for the Tallahassee office till 7:45 for parts of Cook, Berrien, and Tips. So what we're going to do, we're going to give it a couple minutes to take a quick break, be back, and see what the Weather Service does.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Back with you in the Weather Center, you just saw another polygon go away. That was the orange one there toward parts of Atkinson, Clinton, Coffee. So just a one here till 7:45. So another few seconds are away for parts of Berrien, Cook, and Tiff. As we're now getting word from a spotter here toward Berrien County, 4 miles southwest of Alafaya. The large tree limbs down on the road. So that's coming in right now. From a storm spotter from the spotter network. So that's information that's coming in. You saw that other polygon from the Tallahassee office go away. Another 2 others were officially expired. We'll see what they decide to do here. It looks like this one with a significant weather advisory for Berrien, according to the chat sessions. So that would kind of make sense here at this point. So that's good news. I think we can go ahead and start to wrap it up here at this moment. Granted, I do want to see you some things real quick on another radar mode before we ramp things down and get back ready again for that update here in just a little bit. You see a little bit of something here southwest of Nahunta, still a little bit of wind enhancement there. We'll watch it. And then you see here south of Atkinson, or south of Pearson and Atkinson County, we're starting to see a little something, maybe some type of wind signature reemerge once again. See the warning go away. No advisory at this point. No, at least have to issue an advisory probably for that area in Atkinson County or the Weather Service in Jacksonville. But to keep watching because of these different boundaries, sometimes things can kind of reemerge here on us. So we'll continue to watch. You probably won't come back on before the full update unless we really see something though. Here in terms of one of these, I might just post a warning in between here. If we really get a more significant type of warning, though, we'll make sure we bring you the very latest information. Obviously, a tornado warning will be on immediately here on all the different platforms for that continuous coverage if a tornado warning storm is moving through any one of our 62 counties. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for trusting me for now. We'll go ahead and leave with all the different platforms we're on here. That's what that full report here in just a little bit. Don't have an ETA quite yet. It's going to be a little later, though, for sure than we normally do it here with that full report on that forecast, that 7-day planner, and a look out west toward Oklahoma.